I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cogno Movement System. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life.
Hello, hello, in UK Health Radio Land. I'm Liz Larson, and I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna. And we are the duo that hosts the New Life Perspectives radio show. And we just happen to be the creators of the Cogno Movement System. Today, we have an extra special guest, probably the farthest away our guest has ever been. It's Magnetic Island, Australia. And we're here with Tyson Sharp. Tyson Sharp is, would you say, the founder of the Serving Circle?
Yeah.
And it's a spiritual entrepreneur's paradise, if you'd like to say that. Bill, would you help us introduce Tyson?
Oh my gosh! Well, Tyson is really awesome. You know, I was so honored to get to meet him because he fills a gap. There's a huge gap. There's all of these people that are doing holistic work or spiritual work, and they do amazing things like, oh my gosh, you just did the impossible. But yet they're, for whatever reason, they're in the poorhouse. They're like, they can't pay their bills, and they're having a hard time. And so, with that, I thought it was really important, to be able to help people to do well and do good all at the same time. I thought that was very appropriate. So I thought having Tyson on would be just great, and you'll learn a lot of stuff about how to, be practical on the marketing end of things, and while you're doing your good work. Now, Tyson, what I wanted to start off with is, who are you? How'd your life start? What happened? I mean, that's kind of it's kind of an odd niche, right? Spiritual entrepreneurs and helping them. So tell us about, where were you born? How did your life go? And how'd you end up here?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I guess I was born in Melbourne, Australia, or Melbourne, as many of you across the world would pronounce it. And, I guess how I got here in helping real spiritual entrepreneurs, find more success and find more fulfillment in what they do was a bit of an evolution. I didn't necessarily have too many interests growing up in terms of a career. But when it came to school, the only real thing I had that was fascinating was psychology. I just was fascinated with the way people thought, how people were able to interact with each other and what made some people happy, what made others sad. Like, it was just a real fascination. And I got into the world of psychology through university, and I just started studying everything to do with, interpersonal psychology, organizational psychology. I ended up getting my master's degree in organizational psychology, and I had no clue what I wanted to do after that, because I didn't really want to work with people who have disorders. I didn't really want to work in human resources and in a corporate position. So I was a lost little puppy. I think many people listening can also picture a time in their life, if not now, when they just had no clue what to do next. I just had this inner confusion of just like, where the hell is my life leading me? And so instead of really taking a leap in terms of my career, I took a leap for an adventure and traveled to Canada for 2 years and traveled around, had fun, was snowboarding, meeting new friends, all the fun stuff for 2 years but yet this little thing inside me was just nagging me that said, I think it was just kind of the masculine side of me that said, you don't have a purpose. You don't have this mission that you're part of, something you're building and creating. And I was so lost at that stage. I ended up emailing Dr. Phil and saying, how do you start helping people? And I'm still waiting back on the reply. But what it led me to was this personal development space. And I just started reading, started doing personal development programs and learning as much as I could, because that just at least gave me some momentum to feel this void of just, lack of fulfillment. And a huge leap of mine, and how I started on the business journey, was I came across a program with many, Tony Robbins, and I saw he had a program on how to be a coach. And I looked at that and thought, I don't even know what a life coach is, but it looks like you're helping normal people with normal things, just helping them progress in their life. I didn't even know that existed. The only issue was, when I was a poor traveling Australian across Canada, the investment for the program was like half of everything I had in the bank. And so my decision of whether to follow my head or my heart operated like it was clear in that moment. And I was so scared. I'm like, what if I, lose my job? What if I lose my accommodation? What if I need to travel back to Australia for whatever reason? But my heart lit up. That's all I can describe it as. And many of you who have taken many heart leaps know of that. And it would just light up. And I said, you know what? You only live once. Why wouldn't I follow my highest excitement? And that's what I did. I invested in the program, half of everything I had in the bank, but everything changed from then. I learned the tools, skills, strategies. I started getting more and more experience with helping people go from A to B, whatever A to B is for them, helping them learn the psychology, the emotional work, all the healing work necessary in getting from A to B. And that's where I started. I fell in love with it so much that I moved back to Australia, started my own coaching business as a typical life coach, as many people start. And that's where everything started to unfold in the point of my business journey. But I'll stop there if you guys have any questions, so I can talk for a long time.
Oh, I'm waiting for the next thing.
Okay.
So this is exciting. How long did the Tony Robbins course last? How long were you involved with that?
Well, I was so obsessed. It's meant to be 6 months, but I did it in about 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. Even just despite like being surrounded by snow-capped mountains, I was locked in my room. Literally, I was just studying everything. I was word for word, just writing down in these thick books, like writing exercise books, just writing down everything word for word of what I could learn, how I could improve my own life, then execute that. I started learning so much that I ended up getting promoted in my job in Canada. I started making a lot more money, a lot more friends. I started just helping people along the way, just meeting them at the bar and just talking about personal development. And, they'd get back to me the next week and said, oh my God, all this changed for me. And I was like, yep, that's what happens. But then when I got back to Australia and started as a coach and started as a business, I'm like, this is a new world. Actually being paid to be a coach brings up so much fear, so many insecurities. Who the hell am I, a life coach? I was, how old at that stage? I was 26, something like that. And I was just like, how can I be a life coach at 26? And all these people who are much older than me started talking about me and reading my content and all those different things. I'm like, how do I make it? How the hell do I charge money? How do I do all this? And then the sort of journey unfolded of learning more about business, more about marketing, putting out content, getting out there, being more open and vulnerable, and just sharing my heart with people. And it was a slow grind for a long time. And I had to get a job along the side. And I worked in a restaurant to get some income while I'm building my business. And that took about 4 years. I think it was about 4 years, 4 or 5 years I was working at the restaurant, cutting back my hours while I was building up the coaching business. And then it was 3 years ago that I decided to, despite how scary it was, take the leap, leave the job, and become a full-time coach, become a full-time coach who was able to help people. I was able to travel. I was able to work online, grow my own communities online, and just start really moving forward from my heart, despite how scary it was. I will share that experience of what that was like for me, because about 2-3 years into it, I was probably about 3 or 4 years into it, my business was going well until it wasn't. And I was left with this situation where my clients dried up, income dried up. For some reason, I had to give refunds to some clients through like crazy circumstances, like all at once. And what do you think happened to me? Like, I was just left with this pit in my stomach, this fear that says you're not good enough, that says you need money to feel safe, you need to feel like you need to succeed out online to get the approval of your friends and, you know, your audience. And a huge journey for me was, instead of just building my business from fear of trying to feel enough, is to just sit in silence and to finally just feel those emotions, you know, finally feel the emotions of the fears, the insecurities, the uncomfortable feelings that are coming up. And I realized the power of silence. I realized just how much you can just process and heal by sitting with these emotions. And it was a big turning point in my life, because I sat in there for 6 hours just in silence, being with myself, my thoughts, my emotions. And out of that came the insight that said, hey, if you build a community and you just fall in love with the art of serving and just service, then everything else will take care of itself. The income, the clients, the opportunities, the collaborations, it'll all come in perfect timing, even if your mind thinks differently. And that's where I started the Serving Circle. The Serving Circle is the community of spiritual entrepreneurs who all, you know, work online and help each other grow online through a space of unity, consciousness, and love and generosity. And that's what I started. And now it's getting up to 3,000 members. And, you know, it's such an engaging community of just love. And it was all birthed out of me just willing to sit with my emotions rather than avoiding them.
You know, it's such a common story, really, for people who are quote unquote healers, people who help other people, to struggle with the money side. So let's take our first break right here. And when we come back, let's talk about that a little bit, about, you know, this separation between service and receiving money. So UK Health Radio, take it away.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
All right, and we're back, and we're with Tyson Sharp, talking about being of service, having a career, making money, gaining it all, losing it all. And my question for you is this: did you have that moment where it felt like, I'm of service, I'm helping, maybe it's not great to charge? Or did you have people say that to you? Like, hey, if you can help me, why don't you just help me? Why are you charging me?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when I'm in the space of, you know, I help a lot of business owners and they kind of get it. Like, people need to invest in order to, you know, be committed. So they understand that. But I have heard a lot of my clients along the same lines, along the same path. You know, there's a lot of things to heal when it comes to money. For whatever reason, there are certain things we give away our power to that is that's quite common. Whether it's your family members, whether it's money, whether it's your career, whether it's whatever it is. It's just there are certain things in life that matter most to us, that where we give away our power. And when it comes to money, what I like to do and what I like to do within myself and within my clients is recognize where we're doing something out of fear or just out of safety. Because when I was sitting in silence that day that, where I sat there for 6 hours, I just started realizing things that I didn't realize before. And that was, I have this fear that if I don't have money, I'm not safe. So let's take that for example. I didn't know that was there. I was just working in my business trying to make money, not knowing that it's coming from this deep-seated belief that I need to make money to inherently feel safe. And that's where many people are at, which is why they do the things that they don't necessarily want to do to get the money, because they believe that money will help them do what they want to do. And I'm like, and that's the illusion I started seeing in myself and started questioning that. But what really happened was I realized this deep-seated fear, when I sat with it, was coming up because it was coming out. So it was coming up to be expressed in my body, to be felt, to be, to be seen. And therefore, it was able to heal and was able to process. And on the other side was a decision and decisions I could make that weren't from fear, that weren't from scarcity, that weren't from just safety, but from a true expansion. And when I say expansion, I mean a decision and action that moves you beyond yourself, moves you beyond your patterns that are no longer serving you. And that's really what I help people do with their money and with their business and career, is sort of make the decisions from your expansion, where it's not from fear, it's not from safety, not from scarcity, but from the decision where it's your soul moving you towards your next evolution. One way of explaining it is the thing that's exciting to your heart and soul, but may also be scary to your mind. That's the sort of way I like to do it. So with clients and with people who have this hang up around money, what I would ask is, okay, what feels contracting compared to what feels expansive? It may feel expansive to sell your services for free for a while. You're like, I'm just getting out there, I'm helping people, and it feels so good. It feels like you're moving beyond your patterns of just getting out there. Whereas some people are getting out there from a place of needing to feel enough, needing to feel like I need the approval to get my worthiness. And therefore it will be in their expansion to not only give their gift, but to charge money and have that reciprocal relationship with someone so they can step into their own power and their worthiness.
It's so, so true. That expansive state, when a person, especially a practitioner who's being of service in Cogno movement, we have many, we run across this a lot, where the person loves the work so much that it becomes sort of personal. There's this place where it feels like standing naked in front of someone to ask them to pay you for the service. And it's a funny place to be because everybody understands if I go get a job at the grocery store, they're going to pay me. I don't have a problem receiving that check. I'm doing the job. I'm going to get the check. You pay your doctor, you pay your lawyer, pay your dentist. That makes sense. But there's something so personal about this. And I agree with you 100%. Once a person can get to that place where they really understand that transaction creates more on the planet, then it becomes fun. Then it becomes matter of fact, just like paying for your groceries or paying the dentist. Obviously, this is what we do, but it's got to get to that place, and it is a feeling in the body of, yeah, this is easy. So what do you say to get people there? Because it's not a small feat to get over the hump of, I feel naked to ask somebody to pay me. to, woo, this is great. We're in this great transaction together.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's twofold. One is is to go inward and look at the emotion. And then two is to step into the mental and emotional state of your expansion, right? So we all have a confident side of us that can ask for as much money as we want, right? We all have a confident side of us. If you're confident about tying your shoes, then that same confidence can be used to do anything. And so, but before we get there, we don't necessarily want to shift our state to become confident if we're to avoid another side of us, right? To avoid and resist and react to a side of us that we disapprove of. So that'll just cause more and more conflict. So where we start is in processing that emotion. And as we process that emotion, I would ask you, when you are asking for money from someone, what's the biggest fear there? Like, what's the biggest fear your mind comes up with? Whether they reject you, whether it's insulting, whether they, not only say no, but then they go tell everyone in your community that this person's trying to rip me off and scam me or whatever. Or maybe the fear might be that you do charge money and then you don't get the results for people. Like, that's also a fear that might be there. But what's your biggest fear? And then behind that, what's the deep emotion? So the emotion that you may be avoiding by not asking for money, it might be rejection, it might be embarrassment, there may be some shame, right? There may be deep sadness, whatever it is. If you're not asking for money and it's in your expansion to do so, it's because you're avoiding an emotion that you think may be on the other side of that ask. So what's that emotion, right? What's the emotion? I would sit in silence and welcome that emotion in. Right? We'll go through some steps when it's appropriate in this chat, but that's what I would do, is just to sit with it, go into that emotion, process it, because I feel in order to be financially successful, we have to start loving the side of us that can go broke. Same about if you're to get, to be online, to create content, to really make it in the online world, you have to love the side of you that can fail, love the side of you that can look silly, right? Love the side of you that can make an idiot out of yourself. I do it all the time. But the thing is, if we love that side of us, there won't be the internal conflict where we're only trying to succeed out of a pattern that's not serving us. So once you look at that, then there's the process of embodying and conditioning the side of you that is confident, the side of you that is passionate, the side of you that does have this level of connection with other people and, has a healthy relationship with money. And then those in combination, I find, allows people to really step into their power and own it.
One of the things that we hear a lot, this is an interesting one. Well, it's the people in my area, they just won't pay that. People don't have any money. That's the biggest one that we hear. Mm-hmm. And we often find exactly what you're saying. The person who's saying that, they're the one not willing to pay for anything. They're the one who thinks everything's too expensive. So in this case, it's kind of that mirror effect. Do you run across that too?
Definitely. There's definitely the mirror there. There's so many factors involved when it comes to being successful as a holistic practitioner. But when it comes down to it, there's the internal work and then there's the external work. So there's the internal work of saying, what's in me? Like, am I investing in things? Am I investing in coaches? Am I investing in my healing? Am I investing in opportunities? Like, am I taking scary leaps that, feel in my expansion? If so, I'll probably attract people who can and or be the example for them. Like, for example, I meditate every day. I meditated after the 6-hour meditation. I meditated in silence for 2 hours every day for 2 years. And I still meditate and I still do all that, just not restricted to a timeline. But because I do that and then I teach it to my clients, I can do it from a place of congruency, from integrity. And it's the exact same when you're asking for money. It's like, are you investing in yourself? Therefore, when you ask for money, there's a state of confidence and certainty, right, that you portray, rather than if you don't have a relationship with money that's healthy and you're not coming from an abundant vibration, that's going to come across them, and it's going to feel something that's off, right? So this kind of work is one that heals that. On top of that inner work and being the mirror, you also need to have the right messaging. This comes to more business and marketing, but we all know someone who says, I can't pay for that, and then they go and pay for a new car or something, right? Or whatever it may be. If you have the right message, the right words and communication that come across, people will be resourceful with investing in you to find solutions for them, because they have enough internal leverage that says, this is why I must do this. If for whatever reason, if that's not coming across, then people won't find the internal motivation and resourcefulness to take the leap.
It's really, really true. One of our good friends is Nikki Rausch, the sales maven, and she's an NLP-based program for language. It makes selling not slimy. Because so many of us, if you don't have sales training, or if you do, that can make it worse, find it so difficult to get the words out of the mouth. What the price for my service is, just a matter of fact, or how to even recognize whether or not someone wants to work with you. Is this what you're talking about as well? Having the right language to state the amount, or is it more about having the right language to get them even interested in your project or product, or both?
Yeah. The very bare minimum for anyone who's listening and wants to level up in this is to be very clear on a tangible outcome and a tangible problem that people have, right? So this is very, very basic when it comes to marketing. But if you can describe a problem that someone's willing to invest in solving, and you know the outcome and transformation that they're willing to invest in achieving, and then you show them how that your method and modality can help them go from A to B, they're more likely to have the internal leverage to take that leap. Whereas when most people who are holistic practitioners have pretty general, vague, nebulous ways of explaining what they do, I help people reach their highest potential and their biggest fulfillment so that they can follow their dreams. And it sounds nice. It doesn't necessarily, in the mind of the consumer, build enough internal leverage and have that clarity to see, what am I buying, right? But if I was to say, what I do is I help you get out of this toxic relationship and really find the man of your dreams, right, in 90 days or less, then people like, oh, I can tangibly picture that in my mind. Therefore, price that in terms of a value, in terms of what that would mean to me. And then if that value that they're getting is 10 times what they invest in the program, it's a no-brainer, right? And that's what I sort of help people create for themselves within their own business is exactly that. And, things just work when you're able to communicate that in a way that is effective and efficient. And if you can handle your relationship with money and then couple that with your communication and your marketing and to do with that, then, people it just makes the job a whole lot easier.
That really, I love the way you put that, Tyson. That was very, very clear, right? There's so many of us that do that. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you to, a gloriously easy state of being. Well, great. Yeah. But, as far as getting your wallet out and swiping your credit card, when you are faced with, for example, that toxic relationship and then moving into a good one, it's like, now I could buy some of that, right? Getting away from them. whoo, boy, I need help with that because I haven't been able to get away from them. So I love that. We're right up against it for our break, but when we come back, you're going to want to stick with us here, and I'll tell you why. Because he is going to walk us through a meditation that is going to be, and some free tools that are going to help you here today and into the future. So, UK Radio, take it away.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
And we're back. We're talking with Tyson Sharp. So I have a question just before, as Bill said, Tyson's going to take you through some real tools for this work. But I have a question for you, Tyson. Do you believe, is it true for you that we desperately need these practitioners, these holistic practitioners, life coaches? We need these people to be out there in business, supporting themselves to create the changes that are so desperately needed on the planet?
Yeah, I mean, that's the mission of the Serving Circle, is we have the mission to heighten consciousness. And we believe that we're all here to do that in certain ways. But as healers, practitioners, coaches, if you have a mission to help people in some way, we know that the more successful you are, whether it's the reach you have online, whether it's the amount of people who are opting into your offers, or it's the clients that you have who are investing in your program, the level of success you have, you're putting out into the world what it needs. And that's why in the Serving Circle, and I'll talk about this later, but that's why we all help each other, is because there are more and more people who have these skills, gifts, abilities to help us reach a higher level of consciousness. And so the more we can help each other get that out there, the more we're giving the world what it needs for its development. And so when we help someone else, advance in that way, then, it's a win-win-win for everyone.
That's beautiful. Hey, Tyson, I need to back up just a little bit before we get into it. And I got to ask, 2 years, 7 days a week for 2 years, 2 hours per day of meditation. Can you tell us, maybe the 5 top things that you noticed happened after that long of a period of time? What happened?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what happened in the meditations that I find are super fascinating than what happened afterwards. I mean, when you're sitting in silence for that long, like if you can't sit in silence for that long, you have to ask yourself why. And that's why I decided to do it for a long period of time. Sometimes it was a lot longer than 2 hours, but it was just a minimum of 2 hours, because I know that the longer I sit in silence, I'm going to have sides of me come up that says, you can't do this, right? When I did it for the 6 hours, for example, and consistently when I was doing it 2 hours a day, a side of me would come up saying, you're being irresponsible. You need to be doing income generating activities. You're letting everyone down, right? You're failing. All these different things would come up. And so instead of taking action from that place and saying, oh yeah, you're right, and go taking action and saying, and replying to those emails or doing those things, I know I would be replying to those emails from the vibration of the side of me who thinks I can't sit in silence and I need to do this from a place of fear. But if I just sat with it and said, oh my God, you got to reply to those emails, and you just let it be there, or this side of me that says you're being irresponsible, I'll just let it be there and send love to the side of me that thinks I'm irresponsible. right? Or whatever that may be. And so the amount of just sides of me that would come up and emotions, and I had sadness about past relationships that I had no clue was there. And I would like cry often. I'm like, I didn't even know that was in me. Right. But just the depth your soul can go when you surrender and allow, it just so much reveals itself. And then you just allow it to do what it needs to. And on the other side, you get to operate in your life. You get to make decisions and actions. You get to interact with people. You get to create content. You get to, serve your clients from a vibration that's more and more feeling what you really are, and less from those patterns of you need to be doing this or else you're going to feel this way, or you need to do this or this person's not going to like you, or you need to do this so that you can prove your worthiness and, that you're successful and whatever. You just don't operate from those patterns as much because you've seen them and healed them in the silent meditation.
Very good. Did you notice any correlation, after a period of time, that the things that you thought of began to happen or happen more quickly?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, things to start manifesting because the more you operate from your heart and soul, the more things happen at the heart soul level, and it's, what's fascinating is not only the speed at which things happen, but really the depth at which you get to exist in life. You just have a relationship with life that feels like everything's one. You feel closer to oneness when you're interacting with a person, like what you're saying, Liz. If you're selling to someone and you're presenting an offer, see yourself as them, see them as you, have that heart-to-heart connection, that real unity consciousness, for example. What I found was fascinating was also the level of resourcefulness, the internal resourcefulness, the amount of passion, creativity, love, playfulness I was able to bring to the serving circle and my clients. Like I had this awesome idea to run a particular event. It just came from this huge passion out of my meditation. And I had like about 80 people or 80 or 90 people who were interested in this offer. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Then I got them to fill out a survey, and about 40 people or 50 people filled out the survey. Then we did this huge event that was really exciting for everyone. And then I had about 12 or 15 new clients after that. And it was just like, it all happened in such flow and such fun and creativity. And it was just all coming from just this place of passion. And I'm like, where did all that come from? It's because I was taking the time to sit in the silence and the meditation and, really looking at myself at the depth that most people are scared of.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. Oh my gosh. Well, we promised a free gift. So, you had a meditation that you wanted to take people through?
Yeah, definitely. I know we don't have too much time, but I'll walk through certain steps for everyone. If you're looking to go deeper in healing yourself, deeper on, seeing what patterns may be holding you back, I'll walk you through a couple questions. So question number 1 is, what is your biggest fear? Like, really, what do you fear most? Is it what your mum thinks of you? Is it going broke? Is it failing in front of people? Is it looking silly? Like, what is that big insecurity and that big fear? What's the thing your mind doesn't want to have happen is where we start with all of this. And once you have that, you can ask yourself the question like we asked before, what's the emotion behind that? If that thing is to happen, if you are to go broke, if you are to lose your house, if you are to get sick, if you are to have people disapprove of you or have people reject you, whatever. Like, what's the emotion that's there? And then how does that feel in your body? One of the biggest skills is to breathe deep and welcome in that emotion. So if everyone who's listening right now, recognize the physical sensations of how embarrassment, shame, guilt, whatever feels in your body. You notice that it might feel something in your stomach or your solar plexus or your chest or your shoulders, head, wherever. And recognize that instead of taking your heart's leap You weren't taking your heart's leap in life because of this sensation, because you didn't want to feel this sensation, this clenching in your chest or emptiness in your stomach, right? Or it might feel hot and jagged in your solar plexus. Like, describe it in detail. Pay very close attention to it, and recognize that you weren't taking your heart's leap that your soul's calling you to, because at some level you didn't want to feel this sensation. You're avoiding it, resisting it, reacting to it instead of feeling it. So what we do, put all stories aside and just sit with and invite in the physical feeling. And the reminder here is, if you can describe it, meaning it feels empty, it feels heavy, it feels hot, it's moving, it's pulsating, that means who and what you are is not the sensation. Who and what you are is more the observer of the feeling of the, this vibration in your body. So if you are to be the watcher, if you're to be the person observing, the energy and consciousness observing this physical sensation in your body, what you can do next is practice the art of surrender. Just allow and welcome it in fully. Exaggerate a little bit. Exaggerate the sensation. Welcome it in and just allow it to do what it needs to. The easy thing here is you don't have to do anything. A lot of people in their healing modalities, they try and shift it. They try and fix it. They try and change it to make it go away. But it's sometimes from the energy of resistance, thinking, I shouldn't be feeling this. I should be feeling something else. And that resistance can often either push it down where it grows unconsciously or expand it. So what we want to do is surrender to the process, surrender and allow any physical sensation, knowing that who and what you are is not the sensation, you're the observer, and then just allow it to do what it needs to in its own time. If you breathe deep, you can trust that no matter what's happening, it's all for your expansion. It's all for your highest. What's coming up in you is coming through you because it's ready to heal. So you just have to watch. Just allow it to do what it needs to. Trust that you're healing in perfect divine timing. And if you're able to do that, you just sit and breathe and you just let it do what it needs to the point where it will start to dissipate. Not because you're doing anything, it's just doing its thing. It may take 20 seconds, 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 days. Who knows? Who cares? If you're truly willing to surrender, then you'll be just as okay no matter how long it takes. Now what's going to happen is it'll do its thing, it'll process, it'll heal in its divine timing, and then what's on the other side of that is the version of you without that pattern. The version of you who doesn't necessarily have that trigger around your biggest fear anymore. And then what you're to do then is to ask yourself, what is that leap that I'm to take? What is that heart's calling, that soul's mission, that scary thing that I'm called to? What is that? And once you've processed these emotions, what you find is there'll be less triggers that might still be there, might come up. That's okay too. But you'll be more in the position of recognizing, having clarity of what your leap is, bringing up more resourcefulness, maybe more love for the side of you who feels fear, maybe more love for the side of you who feels embarrassment, love for the side of you who feels shame. And then you're able to take that leap from a place of more resourcefulness, more expansion, and more courage. So anyone who's willing to do that, I give you a big thumbs up, because I know it's not easy, but it's often, I haven't seen one person yet out of the hundreds and hundreds of people I've coached who regrets the process, if you're willing to go on it.
That's amazing. Really, really beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So if someone out there on the planet was feeling like they really want to be maybe a spiritual entrepreneur, a health or life coach entrepreneur, maybe even a medium or a psychic, and they're just not sure how to get there as a business. Is this the first step, what you're talking about?
Yeah, like it says, both the inner and outer work. The inner work is the foundation. Most people, they start in the opposite. They start with the tactics, tools, and strategies. They're like, okay, let me learn Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all the marketing stuff. And then they try it and they figure it out and they realize it doesn't work, right? They're trying to be like, okay, where should I be? Should I be on YouTube? Should I be on this? Should I be on that? That's not where to start. Where to start is the deep inner work, right? It's to start with that deep inner work and say, what are my fears here? Go through these steps that I suggested here. Use your meditation, use your spiritual work as the foundation. Then start to think about what we talked about before with your messaging. The reason being is because you can be on any platform, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. If you don't have a message that aligns with people, it won't work, no matter what you're doing, right? Anytime you've ever bought something, it's because of something you heard or read that resonated with you, that called you to buy it, right? If you didn't have the communication, it won't be effective.
It's true. There's something about it that makes you think your life's going to be better in having it. You buy something, projecting yourself into how your life's going to be better when you have that thing.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right about that. So Tyson, how could someone become a part of your group if they wanted to be? How do they find you?
Yeah, well, if you go to Facebook and you type in The Serving Circle, then it'll show up in the groups there. That's probably the easiest way, is just to join the Serving Circle on Facebook. When you do join, you'll get a message from me. I'll walk you through everything that's involved in there. I've got a free program that I give people where they walk through all of their stuff along with some of the marketing and business tools. I give that free to everyone who joins the Serving Circle. I'll give you some links to join the collaborative calls where you can meet some people. We have, somewhere between 25, 30, 40 people every week jump on Zoom where you can meet people. You can get on more stages, more virtual stages to share your work. You can find collaborations. You can find service exchanges, all these different ways in which we help each other grow. So I'll give you the links to be able to join that. We also have a directory as well. So you can put in your name, your email, what you do, how you do it, and people can contact you through that directory as well. So there's sort of three main resources that I have for people who join the Serving Circle, just so you can feel at home, is what people say. They feel at home in the Serving Circle with spiritual entrepreneurs, and you can start getting the ball rolling a little bit more to make client acquisition a little bit more predictable, a little bit more consistent as well.
That is great. And what a resource it is. What I like about it is that, no kidding, everyone there is like really supportive of each other. It's truly like it's a community that they're obviously good people, and then they're being good to each other and helping each other out. So I really like it. So, plus on top of that, practical, right? Practical, down to earth, things that you can use and execute to bring your business forward.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation, but we've run up against our time. It's the end of the show already. I want to say thanks so much to Tyson for being here today and talking about this, because it really couldn't be more important. We need people who are willing to be of service. So many of these practitioners that we're talking about today never launch because they have the kind of fear that you're talking about, Tyson. They need the help to get themselves out there, make a living with their work so that they can continue to serve. And I want to extend this message to anybody who's hearing my voice today. If you're thinking about being of service, if you know that that's your life's passion, find a way to do it, because you're desperately, desperately needed. We need people who are going to help us make our lives better, happier, freer, and just way more conscious, like Tyson said. So we're going to say goodbye for now. Everybody out there in UK Health Radio land, please be safe and be well. Thank you for being here, Tyson.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
And as always, thanks, Bill McKenna, and we'll see everybody again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work